All right, this video is a continuation for my Calculus 1 students for antiderivatives. And I've been doing several videos for this text homework. So we're on we're on page, I'll say it again. We're on number 38, okay? So 38, it says find a function f such that f prime of x equals x cubed, which I have here. And the line x plus y equals 0 is a tangent to the graph of f. So this is basically a tangent to my original graph of f, all right? Not f prime, but f. So what we've got to do is the antiderivative of this. Well, I want to show you what I did was I actually solved for y, so I have y equals negative x, so I know my slope is -1. Remember, that has to do with my first derivative. Just remember that. That has to do with f prime. So this line is tangent to f. I just want to make sure you understand what we're doing. And by doing that, when I find my slope, it's my rate of change, then that I can use for my f prime, all right? So let's go back and do my f of x. So just so we have that. So I have my f of x is going to be, add 1, it's going to be 1/4 x to the 4th plus c, okay? So I've got that all set up. Now I've got to kind of figure out what my f of prime, if I want to figure out what point is on this so I can figure out what c is, I'm going to come over here and use red and say, well, I know that f prime of x equals x squared, x cubed, and because my slope is -1, I can put this equal to -1. So if I raise this to the 1/3 and this to 1/3, I see that my x is -1, okay? If I plug a -1 back in here, I see that my point is going to be -1, okay? And I'm going to actually plug it back into my point here. I'm going to get a 1. So -1, 1 is actually on the graph. So you're like, how did you get the 1 again? Well, I put -1 in my f of x here. I just didn't show you that. And I got a 1. So this is actually on my graph of f of x. So now that helps me find c, because I can do, f of -1, watch what I did. It's going to be 1/4 times -1 to the 4th plus c is going to equal 1. When I do that, I have 1/4 plus c equals 1. So c is going to be 3/4. So my actual original function is f of x equals 1/4 x to the 1/4 plus 3/4. So there is my original function. Okay, so that's 38. So the next one I have you doing is 41. So let's go to 41. And 41, I gave you the velocity. So you have to recognize that the velocity is my second derivative. And then I gave you information on s of 0 is 0. So that's my original function. So I'm going to do the antiderivative to get back to that position function. All right. So it says a particle moves along a straight line with a velocity function v of t equals sine t minus cosine t, and its initial displacement is s of 0 equals 0. So this is where I started from. When the time was 0, I hadn't moved. I'm just at the beginning position. So it says find its position function s of t. So we're going to do an antiderivative. So I'm going to do s of t. And the antiderivative of sine t is negative cosine t. The antiderivative of cosine t is sine, but it's negative there, so it's going to be minus sine t plus c. Now that I know s of 0 equals 0, I'm now going to plug that in. S of 0 is going to be negative cosine of 0 minus sine of 0 plus c equals 0. Ready? Sine of 0 is 1, so this is -1. Cosine of 0 is 1, so that's -1. The sine of 0 is 0 plus c equals 0, so c is going to actually equal 1. So my position function s of t is actually, we're going to come back up here and say it's negative cosine of t minus sine t plus 1. So that's how you would do that one. So you just got to know that your velocity function is going to be your second derivative. So you're going to do antiderivatives, go back to the position function. And the very last one on this homework is 47. So I'm looking for 47 in my book here. So when I look at 47, okay, 47 says a company estimates that the marginal cost in dollars per item of producing X item is 1.92 minus 0.002X. So I know when they say marginal cost, they're saying that's C prime, okay? If the cost of producing one item is $562, so they're saying, oh, this is my original cost of producing one item is $562, find the cost of producing 100 items. So what we're going to do is do an antiderivative and use that information to actually find my original function. So let's try it. So on 47, I'm going to find out what C is. So we're doing antiderivative. So it's going to be 1.92x, all right, minus, and now we're going to add 1 and then divide by 2. So it's going to be 0.001 x squared. And I'm not going to say plus c. I'm going to use a k because this equation already is c equals. So that's kind of confusing, I think. Now I'm going to actually say I'm going to do actual c of 1. Okay, so c of 1 is going to be 1.92 times 1 minus 0.001 1 squared plus k equals $562 because that's what they said. The cost of producing one item was that. So when I get through and doing this and multiply this out, I get k to be $560.08. Okay, that's what we get for k. Well, you know what? I should probably do all the decimals. It's 0.081, so we're going to leave it like that. So my original function, now c of x, is going to be 1.92x minus 0.001 x squared plus 560.081. So there's my original cost function. Now they want me to find the cost of producing 100 items. So I'm going to do the cost of doing 100 is going to be 1.92 times 100 minus 0.001 times 100 squared plus 560.081. And when I put that in my calculator, the cost of producing 100 items is $742.08. Okay, so that's all we have going here. This is the end of the assignment. So if you need any help, get a hold of me.